Good day, everyone. We are Group 3, and our topic for today is about the global city. Have you heard of New York City, or Tokyo, Japan, or Sydney, Australia? If you had the chance, would you like to move to these places? If not, I bet some, if not all of you, would like to visit these places. There are scenes in televisions and movies where we can see these places, and their influence even extends to our imagination. What are these places, and why are they important? How are they relevant to you? Today, this topic will be further discussed.
Hi, this is Eileen F. Matauhay, and I'm going to discuss why study global cities. There are clearly we're studying because cities are central places and the places of mutual influence of globalization on people and vice versa. There are meeting places, communication nodes, and sites of exchange as well as locations where global processes become particularly visible and influential. They interact with states and other international actors, pursue objectives that are often intertwined with global economic agendas and are crucial to questions related to climate change, mobility and migration, technological innovation, economic development, and infrastructure.
Good morning, everyone. So, my report is defining the global city. The term global city was popularized by sociologist Saskia Sassen in the year 1990s. Her primary criteria for what constitution a global city were primary economic. So, there are three global cities: New York, London, and Tokyo. These three has the hubs of global finance capitalism. The New York has the New York Stock Exchange, London has the Financial Times Stock Exchange, and Tokyo has the Nikkei. So, as the years goes by, commentator expanded the criteria that Sassen used to determine what constitution global city. So, the movie-making mecca, Los Angeles can now rival the Big Apples of the cultural influence. And San Francisco can be also another factor of global city because it is the home of powerful internet companies such as Facebook, Twitter, and Google. Also, the China became the fifth largest stock market in the world because Chinese government opened the three cities. This is the Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou, and China turned into the center of trade and finance. Some cities are considered global simply because they are great place to live in. And that's all. Thank you.
Indicators for globality. So what are the multiple attributes of the global city? The foremost characteristic is economic power. Economic
Indicators of
opportunities in a global
globality.
city make it
Sassin
attractive to
remains
talent
correct
from
in
across the
saying
world.
that economic
To
power
measure the
largely
economic
determines
competitiveness of
which
a
cities
city,
are
the
global.
Economist
New
Intelligent
York
Unit
may
has
have the
added other
largest stock
criteria like
market in the
markets
world,
like
but
purchasing
Tokyo
power of
houses the
citizens,
most number
size of
of
the middle
corporate
class, and
headquarters.
potential for growth.
Shanghai may have a
Global
smaller
cities are
stock
also
market
centers of
compared to
authority.
New York
Washington,
and
D.C. may
Tokyo.
not be as wealthy as New York,
China has
but it is the
become
seat
the
of American
manufacturing
state
center
power.
in the world.
The cities that house major
The
international
Economist
organizations may also be
Intelligence
considered
Unit
centers of
added their
political
criteria
influence.
like market
Finally,
size,
global
purchasing
cities are
power
centers
of
of higher learning and
citizens,
culture.
size
A
of the
city's
middle class,
intellectual
and
influence is
potential
seen
growth.
through the influence
One
of
of
its
the reasons
publishing
for many
industry.
tourists visiting
It is the
Boston is
cultural
because
power
they
of
want to
global
see
cities that
the
ties
Harvard
them to the
University,
imagination.
the world's top
Today, global
university.
cities become
Asian
culturally
teenagers
diverse.
are moving
In a
into
global
cities in
city, one
Australia
can also
because
try
of the
cuisines
leading
from different
English
parts of the
language
world.
universities there. Today, globally cities become culturally diverse.
The global city and the poor. We have constantly noted that economic globalization has paved the way for massive inequality. Scandinavia is one of the largest cities who found ways to mitigate inequality through state-led social redistribution programs. In the outskirts of New York and San Francisco, poor urban enclaves occupied by African Americans and immigrant families who are often denied opportunities at a better life. As a city attracts more capital and richer residents, real estate prices go up and poor residents are forced to relocate too far away but in cheaper areas. The phenomenon of driving out the poor in favor of newer, wealthier residents is called gentrification. Australian cities have been most acutely affected by this process, and in France, poor Muslim migrants are forced out of Paris and have clustered around ethnic enclaves known as banlieues. Globalization creates high-income jobs that are concentrated in global cities, and a large global city may thus be a paradise for some, but a purgatory for others.
Conclusion. As discussed earlier, global cities are sites and mediums of globalization. They are material representation of the phenomenon. Through them, we can see the best of globalization. They are places that creates exciting fusions of culture and ideas. They are also places that generates tremendous wealth. However, they remain sites of inequality where global servants serve global entrepreneurs. The question of how globalization can be made more just is partly a question of how people make their cities more just.
Cities have been, for thousands of years, the centers of civilization, as they have watched empires, kingdoms, governments, and corporations come and go. But in the space of just a few decades, our urban fabric is undergoing a radical transformation. Today's wave of mass urbanization is historically unprecedented in speed and scale. Today, over 1 million people are added to the global urban population every week. In the space of a few decades, we are in the process of doubling our urban capacity, adding an extra 2 to 3 billion more people to our urban environment. As a consequence, the world is currently going through its biggest build-out of technology infrastructure in history. We will build more ports, buildings, roads, bridges, rail lines, airports, power cables, and telecommunication networks in the coming decades than we have since the beginning of civilization. Much of this urbanization will unfold in the emerging economies of Africa and Asia, bringing huge social and environmental transformations, but also the most significant shift in the Earth's economic center of gravity ever seen. Our future is set to be urban, as the world's population is increasingly concentrated in urban settlements. This creates new opportunities and new challenges in a fast-changing context. Rapid, unplanned urban growth can lead to an expansion of urban slums, exacerbating poverty and inequality, hampering efforts to provide basic infrastructure and accelerate environmental degradation. But urbanization also presents unprecedented opportunities for rapid economic development. As hubs of commerce, transportation, communication, and flows of finance, cities drive economic and social development, offering us the unprecedented opportunity to bring the majority of the world's population into the global economy of exchange. Not only are people flocking into cities at the same time, our urban centers are becoming integrated into ever larger and ever denser networks of exchange. The way cities are shaped, their scale, scope of influence, form, and functionality is being transformed to support the rise of global networks. A myriad of overlapping and intersecting flows of ideas, knowledge, people, money, goods, and services link not only major cities and city regions, but an increasing number of diverse places and ecologies into expanding global networks of exchange. These networks of economic, social, political, and cultural organization pivot around global cities, creating a new geography of connectivity, new rules for economic success, and new patterns of governance. The rise of urban networks is linked to a much broader set of social, economic, and technological transformations taking place in the global economy today. This documentary explores this changing landscape and the development of urban networks as the emerging geography of connectivity in an age of globalization.